29th.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Planet X News, April 29th, 2018. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to welcome Mark from the Blue Koolaid channel over here to Planet X News. Mark, how are you doing, my man?
I'm living large, brother. How are you?
I wish I was living large, man.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
I'm going to go ahead and set up this live chat here real quick. And
hey, can I look at the chat too, or do I have to do it some other way?
I actually use my cell phone here too.
Yeah, we can do that. I can do that. It's not a big deal. I think there's a way that all of us can look at the chat, but I can't remember how to do it. It's been so long.
Yeah, I could pull that up real quick. Matter of fact, I'll go ahead and do that now real quick. Oops, I have to open up a new screen.
Okay. All right.
Hold on one second.
All right. You're up and running on your website, brother.
Oh, I am? It must be something on my end.
Yep. You're good. We can show, if you need me to do it on this end, I can do it for
you.
So how is everybody out there tonight in, well, in this world, I guess?
I told everybody it was the doom and gloom hour with Scott and Mark.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and pull this up real quick like that.
And I forgot to put those that tag on it.
Wait for this commercial.
I'm gonna get a USB cord real quick, so my face is gonna go missing for a minute.
Alrighty then. Alrighty then.
Those videos real quick on my computer.
Okay. So let's see if we got the doom and gloom hour. Alrighty then. Okay. Click that over to HD. Got that looking pretty good right there. Alrighty. So how's everybody doing?
Ooh, I'm here. Back. Hooty hoot.
Okay. You know what? I got to jump out of here real quick. Yeah, it's been a while since I've used the... Why in the hell is it just going back and forth and back and forth? Well, that just sucks.
What you trying to do? I can see everything.
Yeah, it just looks like it's going. That's not working.
That little infinity thing it does?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we'll just have to go ahead and exit out of that. But yeah, listen, I was looking at looking at the earthquake activity. Matter of fact, I'm going to go ahead and pull that up. You know what? I exited out of that one screen. Got to open up a new window here real quick. Yeah, I wanted to show everybody this because there's quite a bit of activity flowing around, and it's all flowing around on the West Coast.
Yep. I've always wondered this. I know it usually stays on fault lines, but why is it? I'm seeing lines now. It's like straying from the fault sometimes.
Yeah, there's been some weird earthquakes in a few areas that haven't been anywhere near fault lines, and you know, I could only attest that to probably some type of internal additional internal pressure inside of the Earth, and weak zones here on Mother Earth. But this is what I've been paying attention to right here. This whole sector of California, they've actually removed some of the earthquakes already on this particular map. But yeah, I mean, they got some big time activity, weird activity over here in Nevada.
Yeah, I wondered that myself. The Nevada stuff was kind of really weird, actually.
Yeah,
look at that one there in Utah. There's even one there in Utah. That's kind of odd. Wasn't there one in North Carolina today too?
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and pull up the USGS because they remove earthquakes off of this particular screen about every 12 to 24 hours. Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and pull up the USGS.
Do they remove them, or did they just put them in different categories?
Yeah, they just remove them. I think it bogs down their website,
their server. Yeah, probably does.
Bring on the old street view.
Yeah, boy.
Okay, I was still screen sharing here. Yeah, there was that one right there in North Carolina, magnitude 2.3. I mean, really, nothing to write home about, but these are some odd areas. We could take a look right here. There's a nice, perfect line of earthquakes right here. Bing, 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 right in the straight line.
What is that?
I don't know, man. I've been seeing these straight lines of earthquakes now for the last year, and here was the activity right here for California. I mean, just take a look. Boom, 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 boom. Right down the San Andreas Fault.
Then they went inland though there too. I mean, that's. I mean, I see the smaller little faults that kind of branch off, but I mean, even right in the middle of that, on Nevada, there isn't a fault line there.
Yeah, there's nothing out there, man. That's just like desert.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't explain it. I've been watching this now for the last 2 days out there in Nevada, and frankly, I mean, I can't explain it, but it's definitely odd. I'm going to go ahead and zoom in here real quick because there was a little bit of a bigger earthquake here. This was the magnitude 4.3 in Redwood Valley. They do have some earthquakes out here in this Redwood Valley area. I've seen them before. They're kind of sparse, but I haven't seen one as large as a 4.3 out here in a while.
Was it shallow? Or?
Let me see real quick. I didn't check it out. Yeah, only 3.1 kilometers.
Yeah, that's pretty shallow, man.
Yeah, and I was taking a look at some of the magnetosphere, and I know you were paying attention to it also. And I put together this little video, but I'm going to go ahead and back this off a little bit because there were some other very peculiar earthquakes too. And this one here, what was this? This was today also. This was another earthquake, this 5.4 mid-Atlantic ridge, right dead center in the middle of the pond between us and Europe. Only 10 kilometers. That's very, very shallow. Dead center, man. Right on that fault line.
Man.
So there's no doubt what's occurring right now out in the out there in space, with our sun. There's no doubt whenever we start to see those coronal hole openings, and we see that interaction, it's just a matter of time, and then we start getting pounded. This was a very odd earthquake. This is the one I was telling you about earlier when we were talking. This magnitude 6.2. I called it Carlsbad, but it was Carlsberg Ridge.
Carlsberg. That's a big one. I mean, Yeah.
Yeah, and it was very, very shallow too. You know, it was only a magnitude 6.2, but it was only 10 kilometers deep. And but no, you know, no tsunami warning, nothing. Again, just a very, very odd earthquake. Here's another straight line of earthquakes right here.
Wow. Yeah, you're right.
Boom, boom, boom. You know, and it's just like they go off, you know, like a string of firecrackers.
It's like almost like a magnetic connection happens and it hits right there or something.
Yeah, you know, man, something's going on. I can't put my finger on it when it comes to this yet. It's been driving me crazy for, like I said, I've been noticing it for the last year, and I just can't put my finger on it why that would occur. Because, like, for instance, these three earthquakes here, there's no fault line here.
Right.
Nothing. You know, this is just barren land. There's nothing really there.
Right.
So I don't know, man.
Yeah.
I just can't figure it out.
Is it? I mean, have you noticed it? Because I haven't really paid much attention to I noticed the lines, but have you paid attention to like where it's at as far as latitude and longitude wise? Like if it's closer to the equator most of the time, or is it just all over the place?
No, man. It could be all over the place. I have spotted this many, many times. Going across this section here in Indonesia, going right across and up into the Middle East. I've seen it here in the United States. I've seen it over here in South America. Usually when I do see it here in South America, it's on that fault line along the coast of Argentina. But I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to pull up that little video.
What about that? I've heard, I've read some articles about like off the coast of Africa there in the Atlantic side. Isn't there like an underground like mountain range or something that supposedly if it slips, it'll like send a tsunami, basically destroying the East Coast?
Yeah, that it's an island, which
That's
is
what it was.
Yeah, it's an island with one big gigantic volcano. And
right.
Matter of fact, there was an article that just came out. I'm not sure if I wrote about it or not. They keep monitoring this damn thing because if it's off the coast of Africa in the Atlantic Ocean. If that does go off and it does collapse into the ocean, it is going to send a wall of water across the Atlantic Ocean and smack right into the eastern coast of South America.
Wow.
And it's not going to be good. It's going to be a really, really bad day for them. I think the estimates are a 100-foot wall of water. And that would be continuous. That would be one wave after the other till that ripple dissipates, and God only knows how long that would actually take. But I'm going to go back to this. I have that little short video that I pulled up, and I'm just going to stop it right there. But this is what I was looking at here. Kind of a very nice suspicious triangle, coronal hole, kind of like the triangles that we're seeing in the skies now.
Yeah, for sure.
In the cloud formations. But I noticed this starting to form the other day, and I'm just going to go ahead and let the 48-hour loop roll through. And this is what I was talking about in the live stream I was doing the other day when I was saying that you could just literally sit here and you can watch the atmosphere of the sun just melt away right in front of our eyes.
I find it odd that we're seeing the coronal holes almost develop like right at Earth facing as they come around. They're not like developing off to the side on the limbs. They're just popping up right in front of us.
Yeah, and that's been an occurrence now since 2016. I started to really notice that. I'm like, what the hell? I would look at the SDO twice a day, and I would see these coronal holes not coming from the side, from the eastern limb. I would just literally see them opening up right in front of the Earth. and just still haven't been able to figure it out.
I don't. I mean, I've never even heard anybody else talk about it but you. I mean, so it's like, I don't know. I don't know if anybody's even looking at that. I mean, to me, that would be a significant thing. It's almost like we have maybe some sort of an alignment happening, causing that stuff to happen, or, possibly Planet X or whatever's in a specific spot, or at least one of the objects. I don't know. It's like it's just getting pulled.
Yeah, something's not right. Something has to be there in order for that interference to occur, to cause the sun's atmosphere to just blow away like that and open up. It's not happening. It's not happening on the eastern or western limb of the sun. It's not happening on the back side of the sun. It just happens right in front of the Earth. And, it's been 3.5 years now, and I still can't figure it out, man. It's like one of them haunting things, I just can't figure it out.
Yeah, well, maybe you'll go take a nap and wake up and just know about it.
Yeah. I'm not liking that too much. I did take another nap earlier, and man, I had another one of these weird situation dreams. And this one was just really freaking weird. And it was in full color. Like I was watching it on a movie screen. And I was out in my local river here, the Monongahela River. I was with a couple of other guys, and we were on top of one of the big, gigantic concrete structures that they have right on the side bank of the river where they dock barges. These things are about 30 feet high. We used to climb on top of them and jump off and swim in the river when the rivers were a lot cleaner. But then we're swimming across the river, and we're right at the entrance of the locks where they regulate the height of the river and water flow. And we're like standing in the water. We got scuba masks on, bright sunny day. And I'm saying, hey, I don't know if I could drive this boat through the water. Like, what the hell kind of dream is that?
Yeah, for sure, man. I mean,
it's just really, really weird, and I've never been a dreamer.
Oh, come on.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, I don't know where this shit is coming from, but it is a little weird. And
you got to know that it has to be, if it's just something that's just starting, man. I mean, you got to pay attention to it. Have to. I mean, no matter what, it doesn't matter what we all believe or what we think we know is truth. When something like that happens to you, you have to pay attention, because whatever or wherever it's coming from, it doesn't matter. Something's going on. You know what I mean? I mean, it's just the way that it is.
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and stop this video real quick. I recorded this just a little while ago, and me and you were talking about the magnetopause and the magnetosphere, and folks, if you pay very close attention to your screen, follow my cursor. Once again, this area right here to the very far right, you're going to see these pulses come in. And the thing about it is I'm not too sure if these are really, really associated with our solar wind, because this coronal hole that we just viewed, let me just go ahead and pan back here real quick. This coronal hole right here just opened up in front of your eyes. Okay. When those coronal holes open up, that solar wind, as they call it, it just doesn't, doesn't get to the Earth lickety split. it takes a couple of days, 48 hours. You know, it's not light where that would take 8 minutes. So the speed is very, very low. This takes about 48 to 72 hours to actually impact the Earth. So everything that I'm showing you here right now is perfectly timed together. So this was going from the 28th to the 29th. So here we are on the 29th, and watch right here. You see those pulses coming in?
Yep. Yeah.
So 100%. You know, this is what boggles my mind a little bit. Okay, where the hell are those pulses coming from? Same thing here on the solar wind. Watch very carefully. You'll see it turn red. You'll see those pulses come in. There was one, but then you'll see several. Boom, 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 boom.
Right.
And then these pulses, they start to coincide with the earthquake activity that we're seeing here. And getting into the magnetopause, I'm going to stop this real quick. This circular energy around right on the outside of the satellite belt. Hey, listen, you know, I've been watching these tools for a long, long time, and I mean a long time. I have never seen this illumination around that dotted line. And that dotted line, folks, is the satellite belt. These are these little icons right here. These are satellites, but I've never seen this before. I just started seeing it a few days ago. And it was just a small little piece like this. You know, it would appear, then disappear. Now we're seeing it almost engulf the whole outer part of the satellite belt.
Yeah, we've seen it like come in waves from the backside, but we've never seen it like completely go around spherical. And that goes right into what we were talking about earlier on the phone, you know, with the, you know, back in 2012 when they had the magnetopause reversal that they tried to scrub and all that kind of stuff. You know, what we're seeing now, I don't think is a reversal. I think it's gone. I think it goes, it for whatever reason, it just goes away and then comes back. It's really odd. And like I said, I got a video I can show you here in a few minutes whenever you want me to show it. It shows it. I mean, plain as day. And I really think that that's part of the earthquake stuff that you're talking about. I mean, it really has to be.
Yeah, I grabbed another piece of this this radiation belt model. And again, this goes from late yesterday into today. And then we saw once again that kind of very odd effect. I'll go ahead and let it play till I catch it. Because
if it was the reverse, you would see it going the other direction. You would see the white that you see on the right side wouldn't be there. It would be yellow or reddish or whatever. It would go on back that direction if it did a complete reversal. So I don't think that's what we're seeing here. I think we're seeing a collapse in it, and it's going away, and then it comes back.
Yeah, I think you may be right in that aspect, because again, you know, folks, I've been watching these models for years and years and years, even before I started to publicize my Planet X research in 2016 here on the boob tube. I've never seen this effect before. I don't even know what to make of this back line here, because it shouldn't even be there.
Right.
So I'll just let this play out real quick.
If you watch, Scott, I bet you even got it here probably on this one. You'll see it in the middle, like on that back side. You'll see that it actually breaks. You'll see it break in half. Yeah. And there'd be an open spot there. Like it's trying to come together and then it opens back up. It's really odd.
Yeah, this is from NOAA, and this is also our magnetopause, our magnetosphere. And this model shows you the density. But what I noticed was not any real changes in the density, but it recorded those same pulses coming in. And again, folks, it's way, way too early for that solar wind coming from that coming from that coronal hole to be hitting the Earth. The speed of that solar wind was so low, it may take 3 to 5 days for that to start to impact. So again, here's the question. What is causing those effects? Now, I was digging around since I was talking about that, the infrared information, and I dug very, very deep into it today. And I'm going to tell you, I wasn't pleased at all with what I found out. But infrared comes in these long and short waves. So what we're about to see here looks like it could possibly be short wave bursts of infrared radiation smashing our magnetosphere. So I'm going to go ahead and let this play. Pay very close attention to the left side of the model. You'll be able to see it on both sides. See him coming in?
Yep. 100%, man.
And then you see the color chart up here, how dark this is. Look at that. And it didn't just happen once.
It kept happening. Yeah.
It happened numerous times, and that was earlier. That was earlier today. So
let me have the screen for a minute, and I'll show that same model real quick, and we'll just show them what it was doing like 5 or 6 hours before that video you just showed. I got some, because that's what we were talking about on the phone. We can't even. That's what really makes me mad. We can't even go get the archive footage of that because they don't archive it.
Yeah. Once you showed that to me, I got involved in a phone call, and I went to go back and check it out on the site, and it was already gone. But the screen's all yours.
Okay, hold on a minute here. Let's do that, and then start screen share. You guys seeing it? See my screen?
Make sure you click on your little icon down below, lower right.
I think I did. Let me see.
There you go.
You guys got it? Okay. Yeah, this is that same one you just showed. And see how it's all white? That means that there's no density there. There's nothing there. So when can you hear me?
Yeah.
Making sure.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I could hear you. We could see it.
Okay, just making sure. I haven't done this very often, so hate to sit here and talk to myself on the wall or something.
Don't worry about it. I do it all the time.
But even right here, guys, on the right side, look at that shape. Here, I can zoom in a little bit, I guess. Maybe, if it'll let me. Maybe not. Maybe not. Okay. But yeah, I mean, you see these shapes right here? That doesn't even look right. And then I'm going to push play here, guys, and you're going to see that this is what I'm talking about, where I think it collapsed. And then you're going to see it come back. So I'll just push play, and I'll pause it when I need to here. See those waves? And then it's all going to come back. Watch this.
Oh, my dear God.
That's what I'm saying, man. I was sitting there watching this, and I was like, what in the world is going on here? And like I said, I'll back it up, and we'll watch that again. I could just use the pan. Now, you see this. Now, you were talking about waves, Scott. Look at this down here on the bottom left. Look at that. You can see how that waved right in. I mean, it's almost like it was in water. It just such a crazy. I've never seen this happen. And like you said, we've been watching these tools now. Well, basically since this one was available, we've been watching it.
Yeah, that's a little scary. Because let me just tell you. I mean, there are times that a magnetosphere, a magnetopause for any planet could collapse, and come back 15 minutes, an hour later, and it really doesn't cause that much harm to a planet. But there is some hypotheses out there that this is what happened to Mars.
Right.
Its magnetosphere was crushed, collapsed, which then destroyed and blew away their atmosphere. Then, therefore leaving the planet wide open to be nothing more than a desolate desert.
Yeah, wasteland. Yeah, pretty much. And I'll go ahead and go to this next part right here in the same video where it's the pressure model. Now, what you're going to see here is basically the same thing. I'll just push play. We'll just let it play through here. See where we're at. See how there's nothing there? I mean, that right there is our magnetic field. That's all you're seeing. You're not seeing a magnetopause at all.
Yeah, when you sent me that, when you sent me this screenshot, man, that was very disturbing. I actually bit my tongue.
I mean, it lasted for hours too. And that's the thing. It lasted for hours. No, watch. The same thing's going to happen. It's coming back. You see that?
Ooh.
I mean, isn't that just nuts? I was like, what in the world's going on, man? I mean, it was like that when I seen it come back is really what took me back, because, yeah, we can say it collapsed for a minute, but, then they could say it's a technical flaw in the tool or something. Well, when you sit here and you watch this and then it comes back, you can't tell me that's a technical flaw in the tool, because it's doing what it's supposed to do. It's getting the data. I mean, because it went right back to normal, and it didn't just like automatically appear. It funneled in, like came back slowly, tapered back in. So I'll play it at regular speed here because my scroll bar there is moving kind of fast. See that? I mean, it just. And then this is something else that we haven't looked at yet, but we'll go to I think I did some of the velocity model here too. You see this right here?
Oh,
there's no wind at all.
Oh, hell.
Okay. This is no wind. The light yellow is 0, guys. Look right here where my cursor is. Okay. There's no wind, solar wind moving at all right here around the Earth. Now you're seeing a little bit right here. Okay. And that's another thing that's kind of disturbing to me, because it's in a circular motion, and in the higher winds is in the middle. It's not even moving in any specific direction. So that kind of bothered me. But like I said, I'll back this up and we'll watch this one at real speed too. It does the same thing, because you'll see the winds pick back up and you'll see it go back to normal.
That is very disturbing.
No, look, watch. It's going back to normal right now. Look how chaotic it got, and then right back to normal.
Oh my dear God.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say, man. That was something I was like, what in the world is going on with this thing? Because that is not.
I've never seen that. I check this all the time, every single day, sometimes a couple of times a day. And I've never seen anything like that since they've instituted this new model. Not even a year. It's not even been a year now.
Yep. And I will say this, at least the winds are coming from the right direction.
Yeah.
But at the same time, that for those things just to go completely quiet, and then at the same time, the other tools show nothing, and then back into the regular pattern or signatures.
Now, you do realize also that these models, the one on the ISWA site and the one here on the NOAA site, you do understand that these pick up very, very intense reactions. They'll have reactions to very strong magnetic fields. So if there's no solar wind blowing or impacting at this point in time, what the hell? The only other answer would be that was some type of a magnetic field interaction that literally depleted our magnetosphere. Oh my God.
Yeah, I mean when something like that, I mean, it's like we came in circuit with something. We became part of its magnetosphere for a minute. It's like we were just part of its system, you know? It just really blew my mind when I seen this. And like I said, I look at this multiple times a day, but still for us to catch this, because if I hadn't looked at it at this specific time, we never would have seen it, because there's no archives to go look at. And that really is a big issue. And, you know, I wish we could fix that, but, you know, I don't think we'll be able to, because they're just not going to do it.
Yeah, I'll be on the phone first thing tomorrow morning with NOAA and NASA. And I'll say, listen, you bozos need to give us some archive information. So, you know.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, you know, for nothing more than all of us, everybody listening, everybody sitting here watching this right now is paying taxes to be able to view this. We should have.
Damn sure. Yeah, that's for damn sure. You're looking at your tax dollars at work right now. You're looking at your tax dollars whenever they delete data and they hide things. You're looking at your tax dollars being used against you.
Exactly. And that's the whole thing, you know. And we could stand up and fight, which we should, because nothing's ever going to get any better unless we do.
Man, don't ever lose that data right there. Make sure you protect that.
I've already got it on a thumb drive.
Yeah, that's listen, I'm telling you, man, I've never seen that on this damn model before. That is very, very disturbing. How long of a period went by on the time lapse when it started to occur? And
well, see, here's the thing. That's what I haven't went back and looked at my screenshots, because I didn't take video of all of it. I took video of this, but I was taking screenshots, and we didn't have a magnetopause for multiple hours. It wasn't just because if you watch the timestamp even on this, it started like at least I think the video here started at like 7 something, like right around 7 UTC. Yeah, right around 7. Okay, and this time lapse I think is what, 4 hours. So this right here is just 4 hours, and it didn't just, you know, somebody just didn't click their finger. I mean, it had to get to this, so there was time there before. So we're probably looking at least a 6 to 8 hour event, if not longer.
Oh, in my opinion. God.
So I mean, here's my thing. What if? And this is, I know this sounds. I mean, and again, you know, I guess we're going to bring some gloom and doom, if that's what you want to call it.
Gloom and doom hour.
What if there was a CME, Earth facing, when this happened?
Oh, we'd be cooked.
That's what I'm trying to say.
The whole entire electrical grid of the entire world would be cooked. I mean, yeah. you would see a modern day Carrington event is what would happen.
I would almost guess it would be worse.
It would definitely be worse with all of the satellites that orbit the Earth. They would be cooked. The electronics.
Because the Carrington event, we had a shield. We had at least some protection. Yeah, we just got hit with a real strong CME. Could you imagine if that same amount of a CME or same strength CME hit us with no protection?
Well, I could tell you this much: the entire world would be in darkness, and you would see complete and total civil unrest worldwide. People wouldn't really know what happened. They wouldn't really have any way of knowing what happened, because this would knock out radio communications. This would knock out the internet. It would knock out cable TV, satellites, cell phones, your modern day cars that go back even into the 80s that have a computer. Your car wouldn't start. I mean, unless you got an old Chevy Nova sitting in the garage, you may be able to jump start it with the distributor cap and get it started, but your modern day cars wouldn't work. Everything would be fried.
What would we? And I've always wondered this: if something like this was to happen, what would we actually see physically? Would we see anything? I mean, would we see?
You would see a lot, buddy. You would see lights out.
Well, I know that, but what I'm saying is would we see winds actually hitting, some sort of physical wind hitting the earth?
You wouldn't see anything like that. Something like this would definitely spark a geomagnetic storm. You would probably see aurora making its way all the way down through the central part of the United States. You would definitely see, like, for instance, transformers exploding just literally worldwide. It would be like the 4th of July. And then it would just be lights out.
Wow.
It would be really, really bad. If you go back and you read about the Carrington event, or maybe even catch a documentary about it, the Carrington event actually lasted for days. There were some earthquakes that occurred also during that time.
That was my next question. I wondered.
Yeah, there were some earthquakes that popped off, and that event, I mean, back then they had the old-fashioned telegraph wires. They did have telephone poles, but they were, right, very, very thin, and they used pretty much bare copper wire. They didn't have insulated wire like we do now. So they literally had the little insulators on the poles just popping like party poppers, literally blowing up.
Yep. See, look at that.
Yeah, anything like that would happen, seriously, it would be lights out. And there is no way for the world governments, there's no way that you can just go and turn the switch back on. You're looking at very, very serious internal infrastructure damage to the electrical grid of the entire world.
Man, that's what makes me sick about the whole situation, because they just don't. I mean, man, I just don't know what to say.
I'll tell you this much: there's a lot of people that really don't. Maybe they don't find this interesting enough. Maybe they don't care about it. Maybe they don't think that it would ever happen. But the fact of the matter is, as we drift further and further into this solar minimum, people better start to understand that, we are only in the beginning stages of this. So what's life going to be like, a year from now? We're already seeing pretty stressful things happening now. What's it going to be like a year from now? 2, 3, 4, 5.
Exactly, man.
Yeah.
And that's, look at this. You see that shape? Look at that shape. That looks like a bow shock.
On the opposite side.
On the opposite side. I mean, we've seen, like I said, you see this like rectangle right here? We see that all the time. Okay, that's nothing new. Now, is it supposed to be there? I'm not even going to go into that. But this particular shape is telling me that, it's like out here in the front. If we're just pretend you're on a ball and you're moving, or you're in a car, what happens to the wind around you? It does this. Okay, so there's wind coming that direction, and it's blowing hard enough that it's pushing up against whatever the sun can give us, and it's beating it. It's winning, and that's what's happening. And I think that I've been racking my brain on this whole thing with it shutting down, pretty much just going away. And man, the more I get into that, the more it's just like, did we actually become, part of this system's magnetosphere? We just connected the right way, and we actually became part of it for a minute, and, then went back to normal as it moved away, or what happened? That's the whole, I just don't really have much to add to that. It's just, this is one thing. This is just observation. And look at that. See how, I mean, if you just look at this right here and you go over here and look at this, where's the red stop and start?
Wow.
Same spot.
Yeah, that's very, very intense electromagnetic connections going on there, man. That's very, very intense.
Yeah, and then you see this.
Holy shit!
Yeah, it comes up from the bottom. This stayed here, but this is directional. This isn't just. This is something that's moving. This isn't something that's staying still back here in the background somewhere. Whatever's going on here, it's moving. So, when we talk about like the 28-day orbit, and when, we get a little bit of flack about, well, how can that be true? Well, when you see stuff like this, you better pay attention a little bit and think, well, maybe it could be, and like I said, guys, I mean, I make observations, and Scott knows this. He's taught me so much just from, having conversations with him. When I first started doing this, I didn't even understand these models. And I still don't completely, because you guys have probably even during this live stream heard me ask him questions. But, and he's been doing it for a long time. So, and then this thing here, this is what I was showing you earlier. Actually, I think I might have a new photo of that.
I'm going to start calling that Schumann resonance graph. I'm going to start calling that my migraine monitor.
Look at this one, Scott.
Holy hell.
Yeah. And look at these little weird shapes down here. Even in the stuff, it's spiraling in.
Yeah, whenever you see the blue colors, the darker blue colors, the royal blue, that signifies very, very low pressure. So the higher you go on the color scale, moving up into green would be your neutral pressure. Moving up into the orange, the yellow, and the red is signifying very, very high, intense pressures. And
something else, Scott, that I know that you'll understand, because me, myself, and I think you are too, like almost like a weather geek. Okay. So when we talk about like radar signatures, if anybody doesn't know this, what a Doppler indicated tornado is they have it in different colors for a reason. The greens are usually going away or towards the radar, and the reds are usually it's doing the opposite. So when you see those two colors real close to each other, that's when they issue tornado warnings. Well, look what's going on right here. You got red and dark blue right next to each other. So you can't tell me this stuff ain't spiraling. It's circling. It's not just a straight wind is what I'm trying to say. There's no way. And I know we're not looking at wind here. We're just looking at the pressure part of it. But still, whatever's going on here is
very
like
intense. That's very, very, very intense. And I'm going to be quite frank with everybody. What Mark's showing you right there is not normal in any way, shape, or the form. I mean, these types of things, folks, they shouldn't even happen in your everyday, regular space weather scenarios. Every now and then we have a little space weather here, a little space weather there. But over the course of the last 3.5 going on 4 years now, things are changing, and they're changing very, very rapidly. And that's what scares me. I don't scare very easily because I've been doing this for a long, long time. But what I've been seeing just over the course of the last 6 months, it's really, really opening my eyes even wider than they have been open, because I'm now seeing things occurring that I've never seen before. And that makes me think when I make fun of the weatherman. Remember when we get into hurricane season and this wild weather, I'm always mocking these meteorologists because now they're saying, I've never seen this before. I've never seen this before. Well, now I'm saying it.
Right. And that's true. Now, this one here really kind of, I stopped when I seen this one because it kind of, like you said, we see these graphs all the time. Me and you look at these things constantly. So for it to like stop us enough to where we like stop and really pay attention, that's saying something really. You know, what I found odd about this is, number one, the shape of this red. Okay. What I don't understand is, how can it be red? It should be red all the way through right here. Why is there, number one, why is there a dead spot? And then if you go back here in the back, there's no dark blue back here. It's all the light color blue. That we don't normally see that. That's something that we don't see, even when we're getting this pressure in the back.
Yeah, that's very rare.
So, and again, you know, I always have to throw out there that, yeah, sometimes there is events that happen that cause this stuff naturally, obviously, but they should be so far and few between, we shouldn't catch it multiple times. So when we do, we really have to pay attention, because, and that kind of, you know, I guess it kind of leads me to what I was talking about before, is like, you know, I went to this site, guys, and the ISWA site, and was looking at those 3 models. This is what I seen.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
That's when they're giving you the finger.
Good analogy. But yeah, if you look at the timestamps, though, look at the timestamps. These are 3 different models. Those are those 3 models we always look at. But if you look here on the right, that's at 1745. The one down here is at 1749, 1718. So these are at different times. So they were shutting these models off for whatever reason. Now, I never did go back and look and see if they replaced it with anything. I think they did. But, you know, after that, you can't really even halfway even believe that any of that could be even a real image. Now, I think this is what you were talking about earlier, Scott. See the piling up of the IMF lines on the right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, the IMF lines are the interplanetary magnetic field lines, and that signifies the magnetic field coming from the sun.
It doesn't it reach out all the way to the end of our solar system?
Yeah, the sun's magnetic field makes its way all the way out to just past Pluto.
Okay. So, you know, when we were talking about, and I've been trying to educate myself on this, and you've been helping me a lot on this, and you sent me that diagram. Let me see if I can't grab it real quick, just so I can show everybody. Oh, I want to show everybody this one pic right here. This is Scott, you know this model, I'm sure you do. But look at the date down here, guys. This is 2011. This was a Japanese model that was up, and it's no longer working. They don't use it. But, you know, I think we were seeing more on that than what we were seeing on our own tools, because they weren't trying to keep it from people as much. Like our government does.
Yeah, I used to have access to some of the Japanese space weather sites, but I don't know, man. I don't know if they took the public access away, but they're no longer available.
Here's your wave.
Yep.
I mean, how often do we see that color out in front of the Earth? Hardly ever. I mean, it's just one of those things. And yeah, when I see this, the first thing I go look at is solar wind. Okay, because that's normally what we see, or an increase in density. But, and I will say this, something that I've learned is, you know, when the ion density goes up, the solar wind does the opposite, and vice versa, usually, if you look at these tools. And the reason why, at least in my opinion, is because when you got a denser object, like if the ion density goes up, it's basically heavier, so it can't move as fast. And I think that's probably, am I correct in that? I mean, is that part of it?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and we've actually seen an increase. Speaking of our ionosphere, I was telling back when Dr. Albers was doing live streams with Wayne Steiger, back in, what the hell was it? Probably 6 months ago, I was noticing that we were starting to see these increased temperatures in the ionosphere. Our ionosphere was heating up, and that's not good. I mean, that's just not good at all. And
doesn't that fall back to your infrared that you just were talking about?
And that will also produce very, very, very severe electricity within our upper atmosphere. And if you start to pay attention to lightning around the world, you are seeing over the last 3 years lightning strikes becoming even more intense. What the hell was it last year in India? I think 33 people in one day were killed by lightning in different areas.
Wasn't it like record-breaking amount of lightning strikes?
Yes,
that were happening.
Yes, and you know, I'm assuming that's actually going to start getting worse, because as I dipped into more and more and more of this infrared, infrared is literally, just in layman's terms, let's just relate it to heat. So you can't see infrared with the human eye, but you sure as hell can feel it. And you feel it in the form of heat.
Yes.
So again, folks, you know, it's starting to get, you know, nice weather here in the northern hemisphere. People are going to be wanting to go out boating, swimming, you know, just doing your day to day. But I can guarantee you, if your skin is not, if your skin's not up to it, you know, if you're like a little snowflake out there, say you go out there and you cut your grass for like 30 minutes without a shirt on, and it's a clear day, and that sun simulator's cooking, or that sun's cooking, you're gonna get burned by that infrared radiation. You're gonna get burned within probably 10 to 15 minutes.
And I would add to that, you know, I work in lawn care, guys, so I'm out in the sun every day, and my boss has actually had to buy new clothes for us because of that very reason. The uptick in just sunburns alone, for people that are out in the sun all the time, mind you, okay? All of us have a pretty good base, is what I call it. You know, I guess it would be like a base tan is what they would call it. So we shouldn't really burn, but we are. And that's the difference. And I think that, you know, given what you were talking about yesterday with the IR, you know, they're making clothes now that are reflecting that.
Yeah.
They make hats, and they're trying to pass it off like it's protecting you from your cell phone. And I don't think that's the whole issue.
Yeah, matter of fact, I did run across today. I ran across a company that is now manufacturing hats and shirts and overalls, jumpsuits for the protection from ultraviolet radiation and also infrared radiation. And you know, and they're gearing it. They even had hard hats that were now available. That's very suspicious. You know.
Yeah.
And they also were developing these special safety glasses that were tinted in, you know, black, different colors, but they were to help prevent your eyes from being damaged. Folks, you don't realize how quickly your eyes can be damaged by infrared radiation. We're talking cornea damage. It can happen very, very quickly. And
yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
and I'm going to add to that too, that I can tell you right now that we're getting very, very odd, like, burns on the vegetation. You know, because like I said, I work in lawn care and I see it every day. I'm talking like stuff that's in the shade like 90% of the day that's getting fried. Now, why is that? I mean, it has never happened before, at least not to my knowledge. And, you know, we've had an uptick, at least here in my area, of having to replant stuff so often that it's almost like you can't even give a guarantee to your customers anymore because stuff is so on fire, for lack of a better word.
Yeah, that's actually been happening now for the last 3 years. Over these last 3 years, that intensity has gotten worse. And we're also seeing it with things fading. Remember the other day I talked about that new NRA sticker I put on the back of my bumper just as a test. I put this brand new NRA sticker on the back of my bumper. And I think it was about 4 days. My car, when it sits in the driveway, it faces exactly due west. From 3 o'clock in the afternoon till 6 o'clock in the afternoon, that sun comes right around and beams right on the backside of my car. Within, I think it was like 3 or 4 days, I went out, I looked at the sticker, and it's completely bleach white. You can't see any damn color. You wouldn't be able to tell what was on that sticker.
And that is just so, it's so wrong in so many ways, man. I mean, and that's what makes it sick, you know. And it's like you were talking about the chums. I'm just going to call it chums, but those things, and we've always talked about this. Are they doing it for good or bad? And I really, truly, honestly, in my heart of hearts, think they're doing it for both. I think the reason why is it's kind of like a side effect is why it's helping us. I don't know if they did it on purpose that way or whatever, but it's just one of those things. Like, you got to keep questioning it until we find exactly what it is and what it's about and how do we get there. You know, it's like, you know, you come up with the new information and it's definitely answers a lot of questions. I mean, it just really does.
Well, here's my take on the chemtrails, and you could say it on my channel. I mean, they don't even mess. They mess with me enough, but they don't care. Here's my take on the chemtrails, and I was actually thinking about this today. If the government was to come out and say that they have to spray these aerosols every single day in order to protect the earth, you know already how activism is. So you would have every activist organization out there, besides the regular chemtrail activists now, you would have every environmental group going insane because they would want to know what the compounds were. They would want to know every little thing there was to know about what the government is spraying. So I think that's one of the biggest reasons for the big secrecy. Yeah. And like you said, there's a good part, there's a bad part to it. What would happen if they did not do the chemtrailing? What would the situation be like on Earth? And here's another factor, folks. You know, out in California, year after year now, we've been seeing these massive fires out there. And I've got a couple different takes on that, but they're always talking about how dry everything is. Well, Mark just told you that he's in lawn care. He's out there dealing with plants, grass, trees, things of that nature. He's already seeing this drying and burning effect. So whenever you have complete massive forests out in the West that are just literally petrified by this extreme ultraviolet radiation and extreme infrared radiation, you're killing the plant, you're killing the tree. So therefore, what happens? Yes, it turns dry. And then, you either have direct energy weapons that say, oh, okay, hey, look, you know what? All this forest is nice and dry. Let's drive the rest of these Californians the hell out of here. Let's zap a few areas and start some forest fires. Or it starts naturally just because it's It's completely dry. But we've been seeing this now. Again, folks, things are progressing, but they're progressing very, very rapidly. You know, it's not like this has taken 10 or 20 years. This has only taken a few years. And now look where we're at.
Yeah, for sure. It's like this right here. We talked about this before. As a matter of fact, I think I put it in one of my videos. Now, something I want to say about this model here, and I know it's hard to do, guys, but this is a two-dimensional model. So you got to try to think in three-dimensional ways when you look at this stuff. My initial thought was that this may have made it through this, light blue line. Well, first off, it stopped at the satellite line, so it didn't even, I don't think it hit the Earth or anything like that. But, when you see stuff like this, you got to really question, did that really make it through or did it not? Or did it actually roll on the top, like get closer to you as it's rolling around a sphere? If that makes any sense. I know it's hard to kind of visualize that, but when I first started looking at these models, obviously I was looking at them in two-dimensional ways, and it's kind of hard to wrap your brain around that kind of thing, but you have to. But I did want to show something here too, Scott, and I'm going to let you explain it because I think you do the best job of that because, you know what I mean? I mean, you know more about this than me because I think we both had a lot of questions about people been asking us about this. Why did that do that? This object up here is what we'll just call Planet X, and that's its orbit, and that's Earth, and that's the sun.
Okay. So this particular graph that Mark's showing you, I made this, and this has to do with the magnetopause reversal back in 2012. In order for our magnetopause to literally reverse, you would have to have another object behind it with a very, very, very strong magnetic field. And that magnetic field would have to be stronger than the Earth's magnetic field in order to collapse it. And during this time frame, if you look up at the blue circle, that blue circle at the very top, that signifies the position of this Planet X object on that day. Now, also, you have a direct magnetic connection with the sun. You have Venus in play, and Mars really didn't have anything to do with it at that time. But you also see a triangular connection with Jupiter. And Jupiter does have a very, very strong magnetic field. And, that's Jupiter down in there.
Right here. Yep.
So at this particular time, this was back in 2012. And this was when the Planet X object had a longer, elongated, or eccentric orbit. Its orbit has shrunk. Now,
it did one of these numbers, guys. It's following the same orbit, but it cuts short like this.
Exactly, and that's why we saw these magnetopause reversals sometimes twice a year. They were occurring. Now they won't occur anymore unless something else very, very odd. We can have a short collapse, but what we were seeing here this actually happened in 2010, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16.
You want me to show them that video real quick?
And 17. Well, hold on. Leave this graph up there real quick.
Okay.
But as this orbit shrunk and Planet X came closer and closer and closer and closer to the sun, then that's when the sun's gravitational pull got a hold of it. Now, this is where I was talking about several live streams ago. Over the years, I've been studying planetary dynamics and dynamics of stars and things of that nature. And that's something that these other YouTube channels, I don't know, their education level is, I don't know. I mean, I literally study this stuff for years and years. I mean, I'm pushing over 20 years doing this now. So as this object was coming in closer and closer and closer, it's still orbiting the sun. But each time it was orbiting the sun, it was getting pulled in closer and closer and closer. And now here we are in 2019. This object has now been orbiting the sun, I would say probably going to the latter part of 2017. It's been on that 28-day cycle. So
basically doing this. It's like it's going like this now.
Yes, and it dips down below the ecliptic, meaning
which is this.
Yeah, the ecliptic would be like a flat plane. If you hold a plate up in front of you and put an orange in the center of it, the orange would signify the sun. The plate would signify the orbital paths of the planets, and it would be it would simply be your orbital plane. So this object literally goes down below the ecliptic, and that's where its longest part of its orbit is. Then it comes back up, loops around the sun, and that's why we're catching it in the positions that we always see it, peeping out from the backside of the sun on the left and on the right. And then you have to put in the factor of where the Earth is during these sightings, where the Earth's position is in its orbit around the sun. So
now, didn't Mars 4 days before our reversal have a global wide dust storm?
Yeah, that was just absolutely intense. That was, if you had a very high powered telescope, probably something in the, several $1,000 range, and you just happen to be looking at Mars, you would have seen that. NASA saw it. There's been some articles written about it. And I did notice that after it happened, they did try to, push it under the rug. But but
with that given 4 days, I guess what we're trying to say here is that Planet X up here, which I'm just calling that Planet X, when it was right here 4 days earlier, look where the straight line's at, right through Mars to the sun.
Yeah.
So that. I mean, I guess what I'm saying is I think that's probably what caused that dust storm. Am I correct, or is that a plausible theory, or what?
Yeah, I mean, I would probably say that this Planet X object, this stellar core. I mean, I would have to say that it's definitely producing its own type of solar wind. You have to remember something. There is a very, very high possibility, almost 90%, that this object is a brown dwarf star or a dwarf star of some classification within a brown dwarf, because there are several different classifications of brown dwarf stars. They have a very, very fast rotational spin, and these fast rotational spins produce very, very strong magnetic fields. Mars is a weak planet, very weak. It's pretty much a desolate, barren wasteland now that it's lost its atmosphere. So anything like that would greatly affect that planet. So Lord only knows what really happened on Mars during that period. We will probably never know. But it was definitely a tragic occurrence for that planet at that time. And it didn't just happen once. It happened again.
Yeah, for sure. I just remember that happening, and then when you sent me this model, I was like, wow. I mean, and I think one of my subs had actually mentioned it to me in one of my emails, and I was like, yeah, it's a very valid point, you know. I mean, because you could imagine. I mean, and like you said, sometimes it's about the angle. It's not necessarily about a straight line, you know. And I isn't that the angle is like kind of part of the earthquake prediction stuff too, also, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Like when you get that, what I forget what they call that, the angle of whatever. But yeah, I mean, I really think that's. I mean, you explained that rather well. So, but yeah, I mean,
here's another thing too, folks. I mean, if you go into how two stars that start to come close to each other, how they start to interact, you know, NASA and professional astronomers that have access to the WISE surveys and deep space telescopes, they've already observed what they refer to as kissing stars, stars that are so close to each other, and they're in this super fast rotation with each other. And eventually, the stronger star continues to pull the weaker star inward to the point where they collide, and bingo. You know, it's almost like a quasar or a pulsar. And these things do occur, you know, out in the galaxies and out in the universe. They occur on a regular basis. But you know, stars will definitely attract each other. And I continued to do some more research today on brown dwarf stars and this infrared radiation emission, and it's now leading me to once again trying to figure this out. That this is definitely the case. This is probably more than likely that type of an object that is now out there, and it is now part of our solar system. And brown dwarfs also have weather. They have weather on these objects, and they're like a cross between a planet and a star. So they're relatively cool objects, ranging from surface temperatures of 250 to 350 degrees. However, when they do get close enough to a host star, a yellow star like our sun, they start to get energized, and they will, most definitely heat the hell up. And they will also shed surface material as they get closer and closer, because remember, they're spinning, their rotational speed is so fast. And if the sun is literally kind of melting their surface away, well, what happens if you have a spinning top and you drop a few drops of liquid on the top of that spinning top? Well, it spins right off. And so, I mean, these are probably some of the reasons why we see a lot of this crazy looking debris flinging and flying all around the sun when we're looking at some of these models, especially like the coronagraphs on the C2 and the C3, seeing massive amounts of debris all around the sun.
Yep.
And these brown dwarfs, there's been more continual studies on these objects. And, if you want to take a look up into the night sky and find the star Spica, Spica, it's a pretty bright star up there in the sky. It's to the right side of the Big Dipper. And you have Arcturus to the left at the end of the Little Dipper. But you'll see Spica out there. It's a blue star. But Spica is actually two stars. There's a smaller star behind it, and they're locked in together. So when I tell people this theory, it's not something that I'm making up. These things occur out there in our galaxy and in the universe. They occur on a regular basis. It's just part of space and the dynamics of space. And that's why I was saying, if you really want to start to understand some of these things, read about them. Like, oh, okay, Scott talked about planetary dynamics, or the dynamics of a star. You have access to a computer. Google some of this stuff and read about it, and then whenever I do talk about it, maybe you'll understand it a little bit better, and then you will understand that these things that I'm talking about aren't just theories. These things actually do happen. And just because it's our solar system doesn't mean that it can't happen here. We're not impervious to intruders coming into our solar system. I mean, I don't know why some people think that. We're just this little teeny tiny little solar system in this big galaxy. What? Nothing can come near us? Nothing can intrude our solar system? Why? Because some debunker on YouTube said so? No. Listen, open up your mind and understand that, yes, these things can happen. And they've probably happened at other points in time in Earth's history.
Yep. I 100% agree with that, man.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just, all the stuff that we try and we do, and they just try to suppress it. And that's where we have issues, man. I mean, and that's why we all have to fight back. Can't just sit around and do nothing. It's like this, like when you see signatures and stuff like this. I mean, that, and I see this a lot. I mean, that probably is just solar wind, because you can see the bow shock, bouncing a little bit as the wind ripples through. But still, man, there's just a lot of stuff. And man, it's like the missing data that really just gets in my crawl so freaking bad.
Me too, man. I hate it.
I mean, it's like, God, man, really? You serious? No way, And well, let me show you. I was going to show you that earlier, but this is just 4 captures, guys. I still haven't found the beginning, just to be honest with you. This isn't something that has just started happening. This is that model we were just talking about, and it gives us an image every 6 minutes. Isn't that right, Scott? Is it 6 or 4 on that one? I can't remember.
I think it's 6.
Is it 6? Okay, but what I noticed, and I'm going to go ahead and zoom in here a little bit so you guys can see it a little bit better. Okay, now see the before and the after. Okay, on the left-hand side here, look at the timestamp. You got 2218 and then 2247. There was nothing in between. It was missing that data. There's nothing there. You can't, to this day, you can't go back and see it. It's not there.
Scrub-a-dub.
Right, so that's rough. Yeah, for sure. And then you got this one over here, different time and after. My point here is the befores are matching the befores, and the afters are matching the afters. So what that's telling me is that they're seeing something here on this before, and they're shutting it off. They figured out what it looks like as far as on these graphs, or they know exactly where it's going to be at and all those kinds of things. And they shut this stuff off until they think it's okay to show it again. And then they go here. Now, why do yeah, they're similar images, whatever, Mark. You know what I'm saying? People will say that to me. And then that's okay, because that's a legitimate point. But if you analyze this a little bit better, notice the shock out here, okay? The red, the bow out here. And also notice the little yellow ring inside. Okay, and these both up here at the top are befores. Now, see how similar those two captures are to begin with? And then, if you go down to the afters, look this right here. It's not red like that is. There's no yellow inner circle there, okay, and they match each other. The actors match each other. I mean, without just superimposing an image, it doesn't get much closer than that. And it happened over and over and over again. I mean, these are different days. That's 420, 421, 422. I mean, this is stuff that's happened in this past week. This isn't something that's old data, you know? And that, it just, when we see that, and I know Scott feels the frustration sometimes, because again, you know, when he made that discovery over there on was it Lasco? You seen that?
I think so, yeah.
Lasco and other thing and other tools at the same time. Well, you know, I just had a little fun with this, but it said hide and seek. Look here. Why is it grayed out?
They blocked it.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say. And this is just the other day, guys. This isn't something that was years ago. Look, it was on the 24th. Okay, so what we'll do is I'll back off of this and look. Let's see what it actually showed us. Okay, I put a filter on that. It's kind of hard to see. I get it. We'll zoom in real quick. But you can kind of roughly make out a sphere right here.
Oh, yeah, that's plain as day.
So, you know, we did that. We seen that. And that, you know, and then the next capture, it's the one I just showed you with the grayed out box. And they kept graying it out. Why would they, you know, they're hiding it. Just like the old Google, was it Google Space that had the red dragon supposedly?
Yeah, Google Space.
Yeah. So, well, this right here is that reversal, guys, back in 2012, in case you guys didn't see it. That is, the sun is off to the right. So, yeah, I mean, look at that. It's just.
I'll tell you what, man, they're just real lucky that more and more people back then weren't into space weather, because, you know, we would probably have a lot more data recorded from people around the world that you know, jumped all over that. And it's a good thing that, you know, you're gaining some access to this scrub data, because that's very, very important. Guard that with your life. You know, from
I do want to give like a blind shout out to the person that's doing that for me. I've gotten some data from a sub that wishes to remain anonymous. But just know that person is who got me this data, some of it. You know, and then obviously Scott still had some of it and others. So,
I mean, I actually had all.
Terrell over at Black Star Project sent me some data, stuff like that.
Yeah, and I had all of it up until October 2016, when they fried every piece of electronic equipment in my house. My whole entire house was microwaved. I mean, everything, my television set, every piece of electronics in my house was completely fried. My computers, everything, it was all turned to junk. So
wow.
all of that data that I had related to this and everything else was just completely gone. If you're done showing what you're going to show, I want to show everybody what an actual brown dwarf star looks like. For sure. next to a host star. You know, folks, going back to what is it, 1994, I believe. Let me go ahead and pull this up real quick.
You got the screen back, don't you?
Yeah. Going back to 1994. This is Gillespie. Gillespie. Gliese 229b. This was a brown dwarf star that was first observed in 1994 by the Palomar Observatory. And that's right over here to the left. This is a host star, a sun, if you want to call it. And on October 27th in 1994, they captured for one of the first times, they captured a brown dwarf orbiting another star. See, here's my point, folks. I knew about this back in 1994, and I really didn't think too much about it until 2016. And I went back and I found the information on this, and there's kind of very little information out there now. But this just goes to show you that this brown dwarf 229b, I want you to take a very close look at where it's at. It's in that sun's corona. It's in that star's corona.
Wow. It's very similar to what we're seeing.
Okay, so if this occurred with another star, another sun, with a brown dwarf in 1994, what the hell makes you think that it can't happen to our star, our sun, in today's times? Then, the very next year, after it was spotted by Palomar Observatory, the Hubble Space Telescope was already out there, and this was part of the wide field planetary camera that caught it again, a little bit more of a better view, and this time it's a little bit further away from the sun, from its sun, this host star. And it was just 1 year later, November 17th, 1995. And there it is. There's its host star. There's the brown dwarf. Now, you can see this was an infrared photograph. The white would show the most intense heat. Take a look at that object. It's damn near white. So there you go. This has been very, very well documented, and the notorious Caltech, you see their name down here. Yeah, baby. But you could see in 1994 when Palomar observed it, it was within this star's corona. So when people say to me, "Oh, how could an object like that be within the sun's corona? Oh, it would burn up." Well, you know what? Here's the deal. And I hate to be so crass about that, but listen, I do my homework, and I've been doing my homework for 20 years, and I know better. And I'm not just going to come on to my YouTube channel and play make-believe with all of you. And I'm going to be straight up and straightforward with each and every one of you. Okay? So when you tell me that that is not possible, you're making an ignorant statement. And when I mean ignorant as far as you're not making an intelligent statement. When you say that it's impossible for an object like that to be within the sun's corona and survive, you say that's not possible, well, it is possible. And it was observed and documented in 1994 and 95. And guess what? That brown dwarf, 229b, is still out there, and it is still orbiting its host star. So don't come at me with any more of that mumbo jumbo that an object can't survive passing through the sun's corona.
Yeah, okay. I mean, well, not to mention, I know that Mercury's not in its corona, but it's pretty freaking close to the sun.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you don't have to be in the corona to feel heat. I'm just saying, so if it can be out there, why couldn't something else? I mean, it's just not, you can't just discount it, man. I mean, that's what we run
Well,
into.
It would be one thing, Mark, if there wasn't any classified, and when I mean classified, documented evidence of that.
Right.
You know what I mean? I would take the remark, but when people make that remark, it's an uneducated, ignorant remark. They don't know what they're talking about, and I get it a lot. I mean, it's all the time.
And it's not a shot at them, really. And this is what I think that people kind of miss. You know, sometimes honesty sounds very abrasive, but it's the best thing that you can hear.
Well, that's how I am.
And that's what we all can't forget.
I'm very abrasive.
What's that?
I'm like 50 grit sandpaper. That's what I want. I said I'm like 50 grit sandpaper. Hey, listen. That's what I want my new nickname to be. 50 grit.
50 grit. All right.
50 grit. But listen, I have this little picture up here on my screen now, and this will just show you the size of a brown dwarf. And the majority of brown dwarf stars are all relatively the same size over the years as they have been documented and spotted by these deep space telescopes. They're just a little bit bigger than Jupiter. So this is a pretty good comparison of a low mass star, a brown dwarf, Jupiter, and the Earth. And you can see, I mean, this is a pretty good comparison. Now, right up here in the upper left-hand corner, you see our infamous sun. And this was a pretty good scaled down graph of how these objects, their size comparisons. Now, it may be off a little bit, but it gives you a very, very good idea of how big these objects are. And they're everywhere. They're everywhere in the universe. And they are considered the most mysterious objects in all of the galaxies and the entire universe. And there is still a lot of studies going on. You don't hear too much about them, but there are very, very intense studies that continue about these objects because they can wreak havoc. That's just their nature. They seem to be, these little quiet objects, floating through space. But because they do have very, very, very strong magnetic fields, if they do happen to pass by a star, they're going to be attracted by that star. If they happen to get close enough to that star, where that star's gravitational force and pull starts to pull on it, changing its pathway through space, well, what's going to happen? It's going to slowly pull it in. So to think outside of the box, there are several of these brown dwarf stars, folks, that are documented outside of our solar system. Okay, there are several of these large brown dwarf stars just outside of our solar system. They have already been tagged. They've already been found. They've already been documented. So why would somebody say that you're nuts? This can't happen. Well, what are you talking about? What are you talking about, Willis? They're already outside of our solar system. They've already been documented. The only one that hasn't been documented is the one that we found orbiting our sun.
Yep.
The biggest cover-up in modern history.
That's saying it lightly, man. I mean, honestly, Because if everybody would just think about it for a second, anything and everything we talk about, as far as weather events, even as far as geopolitical, guys, all ties back to this research. Every piece of it. Because they know. They just know. There's no way around it that they don't know what's going on. And for me, that's where, I got to draw the line, I mean, we got to just stick to our guns and just keep going. Can't let it go. And so many of us do. And I don't blame people.
Could you only imagine that look, damn well that they pointed that Hubble telescope at this damn thing.
Oh, for sure.
Damn well that they have the most spectacular photographs of this object. And here's the thing, folks. The more I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to jump out of here real quick. And I have this article that I published today on the Planet X News website. And it was, I took pretty much all morning writing this up and researching this, but it was the unseen attack from Planet X and the sun, infrared radiation bombarding the Earth. And I put this together. I compiled a lot of information, and usually it doesn't take me that long to write some articles, but this one did. I really went in depth with this. I found an older video that was published by NASA, and this was about infrared waves. And, unfortunately, because we're using the Google Hangout, I'm not sure if I play it, you can actually hear it. But if you want to go to the Planet X News website and check this out, watch that video, because they tell you all about infrared waves, how they impact the Earth. And guess what else they talk about? How they can be bounced and absorbed by heavy cloud cover, aka chemtrails. Yeah, baby. But I went pretty in depth here about brown dwarfs and these stellar core type objects. And once again, in order for Jupiter to ever become a star, you would have to combine 75 to 80 masses of Jupiter. You'd have to combine 80 Jupiters just to ignite as a red dwarf. Okay. So again, if you're over there listening to that whack job, Steve Olson on WSO, him telling you that, Nibiru is Jupiter's Nibiru, just hit the unsubscribe button and leave him a nice comment. But this goes into the detecting of brown dwarf stars, how they are able to detect them, because these objects do not emit their own light. They are found within the infrared spectrum, and they produce a lot of infrared radiation. As you can see, let me get that right there. Brown dwarfs are too cool to give off much visible light, but they do emit substantial amounts of infrared radiation as a result of slow gravitational contraction and small scale deuterium fusion. They are less amenable to detection by ground-based and space-borne infrared telescopes. So these objects are very elusive. Now, in the case that these objects are orbiting a sun or a star similar to ours that does give off light, the closer that brown dwarf star gets to its host star at points in time, what happens? If you're lucky, you get a glimpse of it. But it's only going to be, excuse me, when it's within the sun's corona or during a coronal mass ejection. 99.9% of the time, whenever I'm making my captures, my finds, my detections, it's when there's been a coronal mass ejection, an explosion on the sun. And I think this object is creating is the catalyst for these very violent coronal mass ejections. I believe we will see many more of them, even during this solar minimum, when the sun should be pretty damn quiet. We've already seen that it's not going to sleep completely. It's still out there. So there's a lot of information right here. It would be good for all of you to read up on it. And remember this photograph. Remember brown dwarf 22 or 229b. Remember that view right there. So whenever you feel like you want to leave me a comment and tell me that that's impossible for an object to be that close to the sun, I want you to have that picture in your mind. That will put the brakes on your comment.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. I don't know what to say now.
Hey, listen, man, you can't get any more brash than that, you know.
Well, you know, yeah.
Did I stop sharing? Okay, there we go. Yeah, folks, I know a lot of you think sometimes I'm an asshole, and you know, I'm what some people have called me arrogant, self-centered. I've been called, I think, just about every name in the book, but that's okay. You know, I know I could be a little upfront and a little brash sometimes, but you know, I'm very passionate about what I do, and I knew many years ago that this was probably going to occur. I just didn't think that it was going to happen this fast.
That's kind of what shocked me too. I'm with you on that one because, you know, I will say this too. I would love nothing more than for somebody to come out tomorrow and completely obliterate everything that I've researched. And just none of it is true. None of it that we say we see is true. Because that would mean it would be good for everybody. You know what I mean? So It's not like we want this crap to happen. It just simply is. And there's nothing we can do about it but be aware and prepare a little bit. I mean, that's just what we have to do. And winning the battle is sometimes just playing the game, you know, and just moving.
Well, I think preparation is definitely going to be something in the very near future that each and every one of us is going to have to just come to terms with. You're going to have to do something. And like I said, folks, you know, even if you start doing some things little by little, you know, buying those canned goods, you know, buying some batteries, buying some flashlights, you know, buying that medical kit, having some form of protection for you and your family. And, you know, look, that form of protection can, you know, listen, it could come in the form of a firearm. It can come in the form of a crossbow. It can come in the form of a slingshot, you know, or a baseball bat. I mean, whatever. Because when the chips are down and people are hungry and people are scared, they're going to come.
100%, dude.
Absolutely.
And I try to, I tell people this too. Anybody that has kids, okay, if it was me, and this, you guys got to really put this in perspective because this kind of does. And, you know, SHTF actually happened, okay? And I'm sitting here in my house and I have 3 kids. And I'm looking over at them and they're starving to death. And I know that my neighbor has food. What am I going to do? I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to save my kids by going and trying to take that food. And that's exactly what everybody will do to me if I'm the one that's not protected. And
that's right. Don't even attempt to take my spam.
Beanie weenies, man.
Yeah, because I like my spam and my Dinty Moore stew. Don't even freaking try it. You know, one day what we'll do is we'll get on here and we'll do a live stream about some preparation, and I'll let you guys in on some of the things that I've done and some of the things that I actually own. I haven't done that before. I did show all of you that very sophisticated laser that, Dr. Albers actually got me that laser for a Christmas present. But the laser that I have is not your everyday run-of-the-mill little laser pointer. This laser is actually illegal in the United States. It will actually burn a hole through your skin in 2 seconds. And it has a 100-mile beam, and it is one bad mamma jamma. It will burn through just about anything. And, it runs off of special batteries. And that's one thing that does worry me. But, you know, I bought it for an purpose.
Yeah, you can start fires with it.
Yeah, I mean, it will burn through anything, dude. I mean, the first hour that I had it, I was pissing around with it in my kitchen, and my kitchen and living room is there's no partition. It's just one big gigantic area. I was pissing around with it, and I turned it on, and it's a blue beam, and it.
Oh no! Project Bluebeam, run!
Yeah, it bounced off of my flat screen TV at an angle, went across the room, ricocheted off of the coffee pot, and angled back and hit me right on my forefinger. And it burned a hole in my forefinger pretty bad. And I didn't even realize it was occurring till I felt the heat. And I said, holy shit. And I looked down, and I had a freaking hole right on the top of my forefinger. And it took a long time for it to heal because it was deep. And then I started playing around with it. I put a cardboard box all the way down the other end of my hallway leading down to my office. And I shot the beam at it, and within 3 seconds, it burned a hole right through it, and it burned a small hole in my office door right at the bottom. So it's a very, 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 very powerful laser. For those of you guys who prep, they actually sell flashlights that are made to start fires. Yeah, yeah.
Use it as a flashlight. You can crank it up to the level, and they run off a regular battery, so you can like burn newspaper with it to start a fire.
Yeah, they're very cool. Yeah, this is a bad mamma jamma. I take it to Walmart with me, and when people won't get out of the way, I secretly zap them in the back of the neck, and they quickly move.
Holy cow, dude!
You know, another good object to get yourself, folks. You know, in case you happen to be a convicted felon and you're not allowed to own a firearm, you can go to any Dick's Sporting Goods store or even Walmart and pick yourself up a crossbow. And, you know, crossbows come in the form of a rifle crossbow or a handgun, smaller one. crossbow. Get yourself skilled with it. Hey, you never know when you might need to go hunt a rabbit or a turkey or a troll or, you know.
Troll babies, baby.
Troll baby. Hey, I used to tell these troll babies that I used to welcome them to my house for a barbecue. And I used to tell them, yeah, come on down. You know, here's my address. You come on down. I'm going to have a barbecue this weekend. And you're going to be the main course. I'm going to smother my sweet baby Ray's barbecue sauce all over your ass. I'm going to stick one of the skewers up your ass, and we're going to toast you.
Yeah, I mean, it is, you know, I think that is definitely part of the conversation that we have to have is about the prepping. Like, guys, you can, and I make these things. You can make lamps that are free energy. Okay, we're sitting here talking about the magnetosphere and, you know, north and south magnetic poles. All you have to do is have copper wire on 2 different posts and stick a magnet between it. It generates electricity. It's enough to light a light bulb. So yeah, especially an LED.
There's a lot of little things that you can do. You know, you can go out and you could buy a 4-pack of regular Bic lighters, or, you know, if you're going to buy a 4-pack of lighters, you know, buy 3 packs of them. Now, I have a couple of very expensive electronic lighters that are rechargeable by a cell phone cord. And I have one that's in that rainbow colored steel. And I absolutely love this thing. I don't even use it. I used it one time. I have it in its case. And that battery charge in there lasts for a long time. But an electronic lighter is also something very, very good to have. And definitely something to cut with. You know, I have laser sharp machetes. I have swords. Hey, man, I have a whole arsenal here.
We'll just call you Grit Ninja.
That's all. That? That's why I tell these people that send me these death threats. I'm like, look, dude, you know, I mean, I literally take your death threat as a joke, because if you ever step foot on my property in a manner where you're going to threaten my life, you are leaving in a body bag. I mean, you may leave in a couple of body bags, because I may chop you up.
Guy's going to go all Fargo on him and throw him in wood chipper.
Hey, listen, dude, you know, this goes all the way back to the old movie with Kurt Russell, Escape from New York, or the movie with Mel Gibson and Tina Turner, you know, Mad Max in the Thunderdome.
Yep, for
hey,
sure.
What do you think it's going to be like? What do you think it's going to be like? Fucking Disney World out there.
Yeah, I just don't. Yeah, there's no way, man. I mean, and regardless if this doesn't cause SHTF, something eventually will, and it's not going to pass, is what I'm trying to say. Now, I will say this: I don't live in fear. I don't worry about things I can't control, and I tell my kids that every day.
I don't live in fear either. I could use target practice.
You know, they try to say that a lot of the research channels here, that what we do is, you know, a lot of them call them fear porn, and it's really not. It's just not. Now, there are some out there, don't get me wrong. I mean, I'm not trying to say that everybody's the same, but telling somebody the truth is different than telling somebody intentionally false statement just to scare them. That's fear porn.
Yeah, if you want to watch fear porn, you know, just take a look at the UK Express, that newspaper online periodical. Every single day they have the destruction of Earth. Nibiru is going to hit the Earth, and if you want to watch even more idiotic Nibiru or Planet X videos, go visit that Alex Luhan's YouTube channel, or like I said, just keep your subscription to WSO and watch that nonsense. But when you want real scientific, hardcore evidence, the best that there is out there on the internet and YouTube, and I would have to say in the entire world, because I have not seen any observational evidence like I have found over just these last 3.5 years. I haven't seen anything any better. Not Marshall Masters, not Gil Broussard, not Bob Fletcher, not any of these people. Nobody has produced the amount of evidence that I have. Why? Because I'm dedicated to doing it. I mean, it has become my life. I don't have a normal life anymore. I don't go out and socialize like I used to. None of my friends really talk to me anymore because they're too afraid to. They know all of the threats that have been made against my life, and Dr. Albers and the same thing. And, I got one really good friend, and, he'll stop over from time to time. But, people don't want to kind of be associated with me. They never know when that hit's going to come.
Yeah, well, that's...
Hey, it don't bother me, man. Whatever,
Well,
I'm on my 5th life now. You think because you whacked me today, I won't be back tomorrow? You better think again.
You come back to haunt somebody.
That's right. That's why you call me 50 Grit.
Dressed all in black. Reflexes as fast as you can.
Hey, I own a ninja suit. I'll admit it.
Hey, well, there ain't nothing wrong with that.
Don't make me don that damn thing.
As long as you ain't, standing around the corner trying to scare somebody.
Yeah, right. Well, anyways, folks, we're going to go ahead and break off here. I'm going to go make me some dinner. I got me some stuffed chicken breasts that I'm going to go ahead and put in the oven, and I'm going to toast them babies up and watch some Ancient Aliens. Maybe I'm going to go see if I can find something on abductions. But anyways, Mark, it was great having you on with us. Anything that you want to end with and say to our crowd that we had here? We had actually a pretty nice crowd of people here tonight.
Yeah, I mean, I had a really good time. I really enjoy, sharing the information and having somebody that can, we can bounce back and talk about stuff. And I think that it's important that we do this from time to time because, just watching the chat a little bit, it's nice to see even the people in the chat room talking amongst themselves, because that's what we need. We need conversation. And I've said this before, none of us, some of us have some truth. All of us have some of the truth, right? But we don't have it all. So, somebody has something to add every time. And where we're going to find it is where that truth overlaps. And where our conversation overlaps is most likely going to be the truth. And I think that that's how it's going to get fixed as much as we can fix it. Conversation cannot stop. We have to keep it going. I see so many people, and even myself, the short time my channel has been around, I've thought about just walking away. And I'm pretty sure you probably have a couple times yourself.
Yeah, a couple times.
Yeah. So, I mean, just kind of thinking about that, I guess it does. You have to have very thick skin to do this. And if you don't, just don't even, because you're going to make yourself miserable.
That's why they call me 50 Grit.
That's right.
Because I'm very abrasive. Yeah, you can maybe take a segment from WSO's little segment over there. What the hell's he call that now? Getting past broken. Him and Maverick over there getting past broken. Let me tell you something. I've never seen two more broken souls in my entire life with that damn nonsense, and I hope they're listening to me. But listen, folks, anyways, enough of my abrasiveness here and my joking around. I don't get to laugh too often. And that's a definite fact. My days My nights, they're not joyful like my life used to be. But I chose this path to go down. And in 2016, I had just had enough of the nonsense that was being portrayed on YouTube, and no real research being done. And I thought at that time, okay, well, I have been at this now for like 16 years, and I have a ton of data. I have a good theory about what's happening, and I'm going to put my foot in the ring. And I did just that. And it's been kind of a rocky road with all of the trolling factors and the death threats and the name calling and the back and forth with other YouTube channels. And I'll be quite frank, folks, here's the deal. I will call out another YouTube channel. Some of you don't like when I do it. Hey, that's your prerogative. But if you like being lied to, and you don't like somebody to tell you the truth. So if I see somebody lying to you, and I tell you for your own good. It's like the same scenario. If I see that you're about ready to step off the curb in front of a speeding bus, and I don't say anything, and I let your ass get run over, well, you're not going to have any respect for me, are you, if you live? And you're going to say, Scott, what the hell did you do that for? Why didn't you save me? Yeah.
For sure. I mean, we got to be able to tell each other the truth. I mean, and sometimes it's hard to hear. It really is. I mean, at least for me.
Especially when it comes out of my mouth. They don't want to hear it.
Nobody likes being wrong, but the fact of the matter is, and I tell my kids this all the time, the second you think you know everything is the second you stop learning.
Absolutely. So I learn every day, man. Every single day. My mind is on fire, and I strive for that learning, because over the years, there are thousands and thousands and thousands of people on this earth right now that want to hear from me. They wait to hear from me. They wait to see what I have found, because they want the truth, and they want to know what they're going to be looking towards in the very, very near future. So I have a responsibility. You have a responsibility now, and your responsibility is now growing, because your channel is growing and more people are looking to you for that truth, for that research, for that investigation, for your opinion. That's why all of our supporters are here right now.
And I appreciate everybody. I really do, guys. And I will say this, in my comment section, I vary, out of 500 comments, I might get 2 or 3 that are negative. And you guys don't know how much that really motivates me. It really does. It makes me want to keep doing what I'm doing. So, I just want to say thanks to anybody that's listening that is a subscriber to my channel. Those kinds of things. And Scott, this too. We get lots of stuff in the background that nobody ever knows. There's people that are helping this community in bigger ways than what I am, and probably bigger ways than most of us they're the ones that are, I guess, I don't want to call it on the front lines, because we're all kind of there. It's just, we do get a lot of help in the background from people that are really trying to help. I appreciate anything, any links that people give me, any captures. I always, and I can make this promise to everybody, I always at least look at it. Now, I might not agree every time. Okay. And like Scott just said, I will be honest. I think that's a better thing to go with than trying to keep from hurting somebody's feelings, because if they know the truth, what better friend is that, or better person can you be when you're telling somebody the truth that's that you're legitimately just trying to help. And you know, there are those few times it gets thrown back in our face, but it's okay.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that. And you know, listen, folks, over the years, I've had a lot of help from people that do not want their name involved with anything that I do, because they have families. They also have professional careers. You know, I'm not going to be like some of these other YouTube channels and say that, oh, I got this inside at NASA. My insider whistleblower has told me this. No, it's not like that. And if anybody tells you that they have an insider at NASA that's giving them information, yeah, kick them in the balls, because that's a complete lie. Yeah, that's a guaranteed lie right there. But I've had many people over the last several years that have deep ties in certain areas that I can't even mention on BoobTube here, but they've helped me out tremendously, and I'm not going to go any further than that. So yeah, there's always the behind the scenes folks that have added a lot to what we search for and what we're trying to uncover. And what you're seeing here is the biggest cover up in modern man's history. I mean, this is exactly what it is. I don't know of anything else that would be bigger other than aliens landing on the White House lawn and, saying, yo, what's up, Trump?
Shape shifting.
Yeah. I mean, that's it. So, we got some pretty rough times ahead of humanity in the years to come. And we're looking at something that's going to last for over a decade. And we'll see if we can all survive. It's not anything to play around with. A very, very serious situation. And these serious situations are occurring on a daily basis. People are losing their lives every tick of the clock. Right now, the eastern side of Africa is just absolutely getting pillaged again with torrential storms over there in Mozambique. These people are dying. We see what is happening in eastern Canada right now. And let me tell you folks something. I was watching some of the weather radar and trying to get some predictions moving for this flooding that I was talking about 3 weeks ago in the central part of the United States. Well, listen, folks, within the next 48 hours, that's going to start to occur from the Canadian border up around Minnesota, all the way down through the central part of the United States. Okay, so if you guys live in these areas, in these states, get your asses prepared. It is coming, and it's going to be coming like a vengeance. So you have the warning, you have the information, start watching for it. Don't play around with this flooding. It's not going to be good. And this is going to be something that we will continually live with. So be prepared. Once again, brother, any last words before we cut out of here?
Nope. I'm not sure if when you guys watch my intro, I am a Christian. I just want to give, that's who I am. And, that's who I support. And that's what I do. I don't ever want to forget that. That's why I mention it, because it's very important to me. So, if that offends anybody, I'm sorry, but I'm not going to, because I've had some comments lately, you got to really walk away from this and walk away from that. No, I don't. I guess one of the biggest questions I have, how can you believe in all this stuff if you believe in God and all those kinds of things? But I'm not going to go into that discussion because I don't think this is the place.
Well, let me tell you something, brother. The people who support Planet X News, you ain't going to shock them or offend them on anything you say, because my peeps are hardcore, man. They are hardcore. And you know, look, I'm going to take a little excerpt from the Planet X News notebook and tell each and every one of you, hey, listen, man, I love you, man. I love you, man. And but I do. I greatly appreciate each and every one of you. I appreciate all of your support. And, you know, you all rock. And without you guys out there spreading the word, sharing the articles, sharing the videos, and helping more people out, because this is truly a team effort. Just because I have the biggest mouth, you know, doesn't mean that you guys can't get out there and talk about it. And when you do talk about it and you find your coworkers or your family thinking that you're nuts, always remember one thing in the back of your mind as you walk away from these people, that they will be the first people to run to you with a pile of shit in their pants because they are scared to death and they don't know what to do. So,
right.
If at that point in time you are a good Christian person, you will help them out. If you're somebody like me who is 50 grit, I'm going to be the one that says, hey, look here, butt wipe. I told you so. Now come with me.
Just don't use that 50 grit to wipe your butt with.
Yeah, right. Absolutely. Well, listen, folks, it's been great. You know, we had a few laughs here at the end, but be prepared, folks, and stay tuned to Planet X News. And if you are not subscribed to Mark's channel, make sure you, oh my God, I just got that ringing tone in my right ear. Holy shit. Hold on.
Wow.
Oh my God.
Yeah, be careful with that, bro.
Holy shit.
Yeah. You know, I want to say something on that too, guys. If you guys ever start experiencing that kind of stuff, ringing in your ears, headaches, please go look at the Schumann resonance.
Oh.
I plan on doing some more shows on that, guys. So if you know, you all right?
Ooh. Wow. Whew. Man, everything went freaking blurry for a second, like I was underwater.
Man,
okay.
Dude.
Yeah, I'm done. Oh my God. Maybe I pissed somebody off out there. They just like hit me with some kind of a microwave in the side of my head.
Yeah, some directional weapon of some sort.
Holy hell.
Like man. A dog whistle, man. I know.
Yeah,
I get it all.
Boy, that really sucked. I was on a roll too. Yeah. But anyways, folks, yeah, make sure that you are subscribed to Mark's channel. Make sure you guys have your notifications set up properly. Go to that little black bell on on YouTube on our channels. Make sure you click on that black bell and set up those notifications properly, because they have all kind of little tricks on them notifications. You could either see some of our uploads, you can see all of them. So make sure you click on all of them to make sure you are subscribed properly.
And check notifications. And check back onto it, because sometimes, you know, YouTube will unsubscribe people just out of the blue. You know, the algorithm gets it. And a lot of times is like, if you haven't visited a station in a while, or here's another thing I didn't know. There's a 3-minute rule, in case you guys didn't know this. I think it's important everybody knows this, that like if you click on a video and you sub and like the video before you watch 3 minutes of it, you will automatically get pegged as spam. Yeah.
All kind of little tricks there. And, you know, here's something else real quick, folks, while we're on the same subject before we get out of here. Not only should you set that notification when you're viewing YouTube on a computer, but also on your cell phone. If you have a YouTube app on your phone, you should go to that YouTube channel and make sure your notifications are set up properly on your YouTube app, because that's another way that people miss notifications, because they're not set up properly on their cell phone app for YouTube. Just another trick that they like to pull. But anyways, folks, keep the emails coming. Keep an eye in the sky. Be safe out there. Mark, you do me a favor, brother. Hit me up tomorrow. Well, you know I'll be up early in the morning. And anything pops up, you let me know. I'm going to go bake my chicken.
Go get some chicken, man.
You got it, brother. Hey, take care, folks. Everybody, peace out.